setbacks, including the south Huron's only in for a portion of the single. So in these charts here, that should really say 3955 at the end. The double train, Lantern Shores taking over Blue Water, because there is a south Huron component, correct?
How much net have you calculated that?
You're saying, sorry, can you say that again?
Well, as it stands right now, South Huron said that they're in for the single train, and
Yeah.
that's their portion. But if I look at this chart, it says double train Lantern Shores, this is the second one, taking all of Blue Water, gives us 3252. But in report number 8, you state that we would actually have 3955, which I believe is South Huron's portion of the double.
Okay.
So it's technically adding an extra 700 capacity to this chart.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That would have to be another bar. In this one, this is the double train Lantern Shores taking all Blue Water, so this is assuming that South Huron would be in for the double train. I didn't do that bar, but I mean we could add it pretty easily. This was a Saturday chart, so I didn't.
Very cold.
Okay. Governor Dag, another question?
Yeah, I do. Now, there's a message floating around it right now that the sewage treatment facility has to be built for development. And according to the Government of Canada's website, it says that we've had a negative 4.4% population growth between 2006 and 2011. So our population has dropped from 11,150 to 10,656, according to Stats Canada. You may have something different there. But I have some thoughts I want to continue on as well. So you can let me know your thoughts on the numbers. Or not my numbers, the government's numbers. And as well, the South Bend Estates is the last major piece of development land in Lantern Shores. We have no other major pieces, and they already have allocation of 260 cubic meters, which is equivalent to about 371 houses. So we have, so really this is an issue of zones 3 and 4. Basically this plant is for zone 3, it's not for development, it's for zones 3 and 4. And so we have to, when we make this decision, we have to be making a decision, are we able to financially handle zones 3 and 4? Because, and that's according to Gary Scanlon, he said he based his rates on a $44 million project. And I know Dylan says it could go as high as $66 million in their PIC information. So we have to basically think that through right now. Because if we have this oversized plant that starts to have replacements done in 20 years, because its septic is very caustic, then, and we haven't built a sewer system in zones 3 and 4 in 20 years, it's actually decayed and destroyed before we even need it. So it has to be decided whether we're going to do that now and handle that cost. So, and another thing that I think is really important for us as council to keep in mind is that the governments, both provincial and federal, are moving away from paying for infrastructure. Because that's a whole PSAB approach. You're saying, we want you to handle all the costs of input and replacement in the future. So we won't be able to anticipate any monies in the future for the replacement of the sewage treatment facility, and highly unlikely that we get money for the sewer systems. So we have to think, how would we handle those costs? They don't want to pay for it. They're both overextended by their stimulus funding payments, and they're saying it's on you, babe. So how we have to be cognizant of that in this decision right now, and I do not believe that we can realistically handle that. There are other financial alternatives available to us to both deal with the septic systems in zones 3 and 4, as well as build something or upgrade something with the lagoons that is manageable right now. And that's my position on that.
Councilor Ross?
I'm going backwards. Go back. No, you want to go back to this scenario of rearranging infrastructure projects, right? So when I rejoined council, one of the interesting things was, as I said, was the business units. It's a wonderful program. But taxation without giving us any other form of taxation, because that's a ludicrous argument, as we all can agree on, right? But the reality of the situation right now is looking the gift horse in the mouth. It becomes a cost-benefit analysis. Can we afford now and in the future? The fact is those grants aren't available to replace things in the future, so we have to do it through some form of projection, through a CN Watson projection or whatever. But to rearrange the priorities right now, I'm not sure if I would want, and I'm not saying you're saying this, John, there's a one line. I'm saying it's sort of, I'll do an Elizabeth thing. I'm just saying it. Okay, it's very simple, is the fact that when I rejoined council, what I really enjoyed was the business units. What I really enjoyed was an amalgamation that was business-like, and the things were put in place. But the infrastructure thing bastardized it. And I hate to say that out loud, but that's exactly what I said when I came on council. I said, you guys stretched yourself too far with capital projects. You took on too much debt. You didn't hire operating managers to take care of the projects. And in each of the projects, except for the one with the water lines down in the forest, we had problems. And the reason for it is the senior staff was stretched majorly. And this is another example of stretching in terms of resources. And all I'm saying is I'm looking this gift horse directly in the mouth, checking the teeth out, and I said it's been a little bit larger than I can expect. I'm not sure if I can go to the projections of what the deputy's saying here in terms of the number of houses. I've always said that the number of houses was going to reduce to below 50 for a long time. We're doing infill stuff no matter what we talk about, how many subdivisions are on the thing. We're doing infill. We've been doing infill in Huron, South Top Pines, et cetera, et al. for 20 years. It took Deer Run 13 years to fill in the first phase. 13 years. Can you imagine that? If you were in Markham where we're talking to people, we filled it in what, 2 weeks? 13 years. Our growth projections are small. They will continue to be small. The world isn't going to end tomorrow because we do one or the other in this situation, no matter what some people tell from either side of this scenario. But if it isn't financially viable for the long term, we won't be building anything in the West End. We won't be building anything anywhere else. We did really well with infrastructure. I just want to make sure that we do it correctly in terms of that budgeting for the future. The fact of the debt is, I understand from your report last year, John, and I'm talking total budget here, you gave us a very good report. Our debt is not out of control. Am I correct the way you brought?
Right.
Yes, our debt was way within ministry guidelines, correct?
Yes.
So I think that reflects those business units, and I'm quite proud of it. So that's just my take on it.
Okay. Doug?
Just to follow up, John, thank you.
Cook?
I think you said it very eloquently. Let's not treat this as an inquisition, guy. This isn't an inquisition. We've asked this started 6 years ago with previous councils. It's coming to us now. Fortunately, we're the ones that have to make the decision. Staff is just preparing the reports that have been asked to be prepared. So they're not the scapegoats. They're just giving us the numbers. We're the ones that have to make the decision. So to turn it around and throw it back on staff that they're making the wrong decisions, they haven't made the decision yet. They're just coming up with the numbers. We have to make the decision. So let's throw it off to staff. We've asked them to get the numbers for us, get it back to where it needs to go. If it has to go to CN Watson, if it has to go to whoever it has to go to get the numbers that we need to make our decision with. Let's not blame staff for making the wrong mistake because they haven't made a decision yet. They've given us options, and that's all they're giving us today is options. So
We're tough.
they're not tough. They didn't get elected. We're the ones that are the tough ones. We're the ones that get the emails that tell us which way to vote, which way we should vote.
I understand.
I know. So I'm not blaming you guys for. Let's keep the conversation to where it should belong. We're not here to make them feel bad. We're here to make a decision. That's what it's all about. It's the numbers.
Councillor Underwood?
Yes, I agree with Councillor Cook 100% about decisions and direction of council. And direction of council has been that the oval plant is off. And we're moving ahead with that, and it's good. And I think it's very good to come up with options, because we're going to need to know all these options when we do finally decide and renegotiate and come up with a way forward